Greetings, fellow mayors. This is Captain Obvious, and in today's episode, we will build an aesthetically pleasing and profitable farming area with minimal traffic. And I'm also going to add an ore quarry nearby since it's at the mountains and the ore resource is available. Okay, let's check out what is available on this tile, what type of resource. So here we see fertile land for farming, we see ore, and we see some oil, but we are not going to touch on that. I believe it's a little bit outside. Yeah, it's a little bit. So I'm just gonna go ahead and purchase this. And my plan is to create an ore quarry here. We're gonna create about 2 of them so that it's not lonely. And then we are going to create our farming area on this large patch of land. So with that said, let's go ahead and start creating our ore. And first we need to extend the industry area. So this is our ore industry. I am simply going to extend it here so I have an idea on where it is. Okay, then we are going to find the surface area here. So this is around here. Let's check the terrain. So this is the area that I want to work with. So we will work with this end. All right, so this is the same exact level, but we want to dig a little further, maybe around. So when you see these lines on the terrain, so these have lines, and each line is a counter of 1, and the darker shade is 10. So from here, I want around, let's see, how deep do we want to go? Maybe up to 30. So 1, 2, 3. So around there, and I will choose this. This is going to be our base area. Okay, there we are. And I am going to be using the gravel road. I will just create our road layout. And here we are going to be using the large ore mine. So it's going to look like it's digging. It appears to be functioning. You could tell that it's functioning because it's not complaining other than electricity and water. So this means this will work. Let's reduce the distance of that. Just make it only up to the entrance. All right, now we need our circular path going up. So from here, let's go about 10. So let's go ahead and make it up to here. So I'm going to right click, and then we're gonna create our circle area, but we're gonna leave some space to add some rocks. Now we have to decide how is it going to start elevating or going up to the next level. We need to find a point. So it could be here, here, or there. I think I will be using this. So from here, I'm going to create a slope here and going up there. That is fairly easy. And then I'm going to be using the freeform road tool, moving upward. And then I am going to remove all snapping, so basically anywhere. And then from here, I'm going to make it erratic, like only do a few steps. Because if you try to make a curve, it doesn't look as good from top view. So just doing this little tiny gaps will make a big difference in the long run. But if it becomes a little too wavy, go ahead and feel free to kind of straighten it out a little bit. All right, then from this point, you need to create the next layer. So from here, so we need to create a next layer. I'm going to make it a little higher. So from about this area. So I want around 2 or 3 rings. Okay, this seam might be a little too much. So let's bring it closer. Of course, it needs to slope up to the next level. And then our final ring will be about here. Now we just need to make the edges a little more steep to make it much more convincing. Then from the bottom, we are going to add some large rocks. Okay, so we have our first quarry. Let's check the next area. So I want to create another one here, and we want a depth about, I suppose, the same. So we'll have similar number of rings. So I'm just going to copy the bottom, and then we are going to create a new one. Let's make sure we have the right area. So from here, so that is the same exact depth. Okay, then we're gonna do the same exact thing, then create rings, then eventually have them connect on the top. And eventually these guys are gonna meet up. So I am going to create our route here. So we need to find this height and make it exactly the same here. Oh, it's actually already, we are already there. So this is the final top. Okay, so I have two ways to go about this. Make this go the other direction. We could also connect it here, and then this will go that way. So there's two different routes that where they can choose to go. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and add in our farming area. So I am looking at where the fertile land is. So we have a lot here, and we have some on this side. So let's go ahead and start adding in our roads. So it's convenient that we have this. So the direction is around here. So I will make a road going in this direction. Then we're gonna go that way, so it's a curve. So I try not to make a very long line. And then from here, oh wait, you know what, I need to flatten the terrain. Okay, so it seems like we can't go all the way there, so it's only gonna be up to here. I will make this line, and then it's gonna turn in this direction. Okay, and let's put in the industry type. So that is our ore, and this is our farming. So we're going to put the farming on this side, and we're also going to occupy here. And I think we also have some farming on this side, so let's go ahead and occupy all of that. And since we have all of these guys here, I could go ahead and delete them, but let's go ahead and establish them first so it doesn't ruin our economy. Yeah, so I always start with the extractor first, so that you know what like part of the land that you need to build. So the open areas without any resource type, that's where you can place in your processing buildings. So it's very important to start with the extractor areas. So we need to find out how much this is actually generating, and with that I will connect it, just a hard connection to this area, and then that should activate everything, and we will find out how much it is generating. So for now, I'm gonna play it at ×3 speed and make sure that they have the basic necessities. Okay, now that everything's connected, it's gonna take a while for everything to deliver, and we can now delete all the previous ones here, but we have to make sure that we transfer the main building. Otherwise, the whole thing will be canceled and we have to start all over. Okay, so that is the main building, and now I will delete all these ones here. So I've deleted all the farming, but I'm not gonna touch the ore because this area I only intend to extract, but we're not going to build our processing buildings nearby. That will be done on this part, on this area where I mentioned that I wanted to create a harbor. And since the ore structures are large, they would be much better if they were placed here. So it's quite a long distance to travel, but that's fine. Maybe we'll add a few here, but for now we'll leave it as this. Let's go ahead and check how this is doing. It's on the negative. We have only 83 tons, so this means we need to add more. An ideal amount is 50, but if you can get up to 100 on each processing type, that'll be really great. You'll have about 10,000 profit for farming, and the crops, you will need about maybe 200 tons extracted, and that is the ideal amount to have constant profit. And if you have more extracted, then while you are processing, you will have 0 imports. So if you notice right now, I've been on ×3 speed and we have 0 imports the entire time. We are extracting more crops than we are processing them. So I'm going to go ahead and add more so that we could reach at least a constant 10,000 profit. I think we still need to add a few more, and as I mentioned, this should at least be 10 tons on each side, and about perhaps 150 tons extracted, 150 to 200. So I'm just gonna continue adding while we still have some demand for industry. Okay, I'm gonna show you a few tricks with the farming that you can do. So the first thing, you notice that this is lacking power, yet these guys here are not complaining. So if you check our electricity, yeah, these guys have no issues, but this has. So the reason for this is because fields do not require power. Therefore, you could put this like in the middle of nowhere and it will still function, much like landfills. So this will require electricity. Another trick for farming that you can do. So for example, you see this terrain. right? If this was a little deeper, so for example, we have a road like that, and then let's say we had one of these things. So let's say we have a greenhouse, and then we place it here. You see this happens, right? It cracks. I call it cracks the earth, right? And this is mostly frowned upon. Nobody likes this, right? These things is just not acceptable. But if you use one of the fields, it will conform to the slope. So as you can see, so it slopes up and it just fixes normally. So that is one trick that you can do with farming. And another trick that you can do with the farming industry is if you, let's say, so this area, right? These are all extractors. Well, some of them here, I have all the processing in one area. Since these extractors do not produce pollution, what you can do is you can place your water towers right next to your extractor buildings. Because at some point, you're going to need more water. And constantly, the city will need more water. As your city grows, more water, more water, more water. So the best place to add water and to have it blend in with your city is within your farms. So I have a water tower here. You can choose to use the larger one. It is completely up to you. But instead of like, if you notice, all my water areas has no pumps, no water pumps anywhere. No drain pumps, no water pumps, and I like to keep things inland. So with that said, I'm just going to extend this a little further because I noticed that we still have some fertile land here, and it's I feel like it's a waste if I don't occupy it. So I'm going to add more farms here. Okay, that should be more than enough. And another trick that you can do, it is something new added to the game that you could also blend in with your farm area, and that is adding estates, for instance that, and add in other farm structures. Perhaps the only design mistake that I have here is having the water towers directly in front of the estate. They could be placed elsewhere, maybe closer to the fields, but either way, the idea is here that you can place these water towers in your field areas and they will not be affected by ground pollution. When it comes to farms or barns or any warehouse type, the best is you have to put it in fill. So this will cause traffic until this whole thing is filled. It's best to have it filled, and you will only use a resource when it is needed. That is like, for example, when there's something missing. So right now everything is pretty balanced except this. So for instance, this has too much. We have too much flour, and because of that, you can add more. You could add a warehouse. Then when you add a warehouse, make sure it's on fill, and then resource type, whatever it is that you have too much of. So for instance, of flour. So this flour is going to start filling out. So these guys will start putting there. Eventually, this will become full again. But the thing is with this build is I have not used the unique factories yet. So these things that we are producing, they are supposed to be delivered to unique factories. But the unique factories I am reserving for my harbor that I am going to create over here. So that is the entire plan. All the unique factories will be there, and these are extremely large structures, and it would work really well here. So that is going to be a very exciting episode. Whoa, look at that. Traffic flow 92. So this is doing extremely well, despite the fact that we have traffic right now due to everything delivering into this barn and eventually into this small warehouse. Another note for warehouses, depending on the type, the icon or the images inside actually changes. So for instance, this one are using sacks of flour, so that's pretty neat. And if you have oil, you will have oil barrels and all of that. So I enjoy factories because of that small detail. Okay, now I'm going to show you a trick with roads. So for instance, this is becoming a little grid, especially with the extremely straight roads. But now that we know that where these things are attached, so for instance, this is the main road, and this is attached to this, and that is attached to that. But here, nothing here is attached. So this means this does not have to be straight. This thing is weird. I don't know why the main farming building is like this. It's not picking up the trash, but it doesn't seem to be harming the farm area. And if you look at it, the main building kind of looks like an estate itself. So that's why it was a really neat idea having or adding these things. They really fit into the build. So yeah, feel free to add more. I will do that at some point. That will be another trick. All right, so let's go back to the roads. So this does not need to be straight. Okay, now that I've added a few roads, here's the other trick that you can do with farming. So for instance, so you notice that everything here is mostly squared because that is the general shape of the field, but it doesn't have to look that way. So what I'm going to do is I am going to plant down my own trees, and I'm going to align it in the same direction and about the same distance as much as possible. So we are going to make it appear that the crop field is larger than it actually is. Now, for instance, like that. So now it's not just a square, and you can apply that to all other areas if you wanted to. And now another trick that you can do is, so instead of these blank roads, you could add a line of trees on it or on the side, at least on a few areas. So for instance, on another farming note, experienced City Skylines mayors may be aware that the fertile land, which is the yellow or light green ground resource, is unlimited regardless if we have the vanilla unlimited resource active. Compared to oil and ore, if you do not have the unlimited ground resource active, the oil and ore will deplete, unlike fertile land or trees for forestry. With that said, here is something experienced mayors may not know regarding the fertile land resource. So for instance, here you can see the yellow or light green, that is the fertile ground, which is again unlimited. However, if you plant trees on top of them, you will cancel out the fertile land, and even after you delete it. So you can notice the fertile land is gone. So if I do it here, Then if I try to delete it, it's gone. So this is why I first located the fertile land around the area that I wanted to use. Then I placed down all the extractor buildings, and before I started adding the trees, the crop fields look a lot larger. Oh, it looks like we have a fire going on. I don't have a police or a fire department nearby. What's going to happen? Is it gonna burn down? Okay, we have a fire helicopter, which is exactly why I also had that built into the city. Oop, here's another water bucket. Alright guys, good job. Disaster averted. This should be extinguished soon. And now we got crime. Again, it's either my forestry or my farming that always has crime. Simply because I don't place a police station nearby. Wow, it takes 3. Okay, it took 3. And here's the fire engine. You guys are late, boys. Okay, let's check out what we have so far. Yeah, I enjoy this. We could add more if we wanted to. But for the most part, that is a really neat way to create your farm area. The important thing is our traffic flow here is mostly green. We will definitely have more ways to get across, but for now I'm just using this bridge, and of course slowly we're removing things here and relocating them so that we have enough space to create our own interchange instead of using this generic one. We are going to wrap up the farming area by filling out this space with just a line of trees to make it look like a crop field, then scatter a few more water towers. Just make sure that the water towers are not near any processing structures that causes ground pollution. Otherwise, you will poison your citizens, and that is not fun. That about covers today's episode. If you enjoyed the build, hit that thumbs up button, and if you are looking for more educational city management tips while maintaining an aesthetically pleasant design, hit that subscribe button and comment down below on what you like about the build. This is Captain Obvious. Thank you for watching and for choosing to fly with Obvious Airlines. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next flight. Alright guys, we got another one. Another fire outbreak, and this time it's at the train station near the baseball stadium. This is an overreaction to fans not having their teams win.